Hello there. Welcome to the gym. I'm Ryan, your host. We're here between the weights in the Grow Fitness, and we're going to talk about breathing, right? All of us do it every day, right? And we more or less don't have to think about the way that we breathe, or that we breathe, or like, I don't know about you, but if it were up to me, I think I would forget. Like I forget lots of other things, and then I would die. So I am grateful that breathing is one of those things that our mind kind of does for us, right? Without us necessarily having to think about it too much. However, what's different about breathing versus like your toenails growing or getting old, we can have an effect on the way that we breathe, right? We can influence the way that we breathe. You may be familiar with the idea of fight or flight, right? Not too many of us get chased by bears anymore, or get shot at, or I don't know. Whatever, right? The most stressful situation sometimes can be that the water's boiling, the kids are fighting, the doorbell rings, and your spouse is calling you on the phone, right? And that can be stressful. I'm not making fun or little of how much stress you're feeling in those situations, right? But that's kind of the limit to the stress that we get. Unless you come in here and do today's workout, that was pretty stressful too, right? In different ways. So the breathing that we do in those situations tends to be different than the breathing that we do when we're asleep, for instance, right? Our body has really two different operating modes, right? If we want to think of it that way. There's parasympathetic and there's sympathetic, right? Parasympathetic is when you're calm, when you're sleeping, when your breath is steady, right? And the sympathetic breathing, or that type of the mood that your body is in high stress situations. When you're being run down by a bear, when your house is on fire, or when the cop lights go on behind you, right? Those sort of situations are sympathetic. Our stress levels go up, right? Our body is ready to react to situations around us, right? So our body relies on oxygen, right? We got to breathe. Like when you do a hard workout, you notice you're breathing really hard at the end because it takes, we got some commotion outside, because it takes higher levels of oxygen to function, right? If you're not breathing and you're trying to run really hard, you'll faint or fall over dead, or you just won't have enough oxygen for everything to work, right? So in those situations, it's natural for your body to open your mouth up real wide because you can get in tons of air that way, right? And we're finding when you are in those sympathetic modes, when you're breathing through your mouth, you tend to burn glycogen, which is basically sugar stored in your blood for energy, right? So because burning glycogen is oxidative, it takes lots of oxygen for that process to work, right? So your body needs lots and lots of oxygen, so it's going to make you breathe through your mouth. So you breathe through your mouth, your body oxidates the glycogen, turns it into glucose, and now you have fuel. Really fast burning fuel, right? Doesn't last for a really long time, but your body can get energy from it right now, right? Versus times when we're in a parasympathetic state, we generally are breathing through our nose, right? Which not only triggers the calming down, being in a more parasympathetic state with our nervous system, right? It also increases natural nitric oxide levels. Sounds like a dog is dying outside. Or that's just some kids being weird. So I don't know if you can hear that or not, but so if we can, in those moments of high stress, take a second and be conscious of the way that we're breathing. And instead of breathing through your mouth in those high stress times, if you can breathe through your nose more, you'll be more calm, right? So we're managing stress, which is incredibly important, right? Also, in those times, if you can switch to breathing through your nose, you will burn fat as an energy source instead of carbohydrate slash glycogen slash glucose from your bloodstream, right? Now, should you do something hard enough, there will become a point where you can no longer breathe through your nose because you're not getting enough air, right? And we're seeing this happen in real time, where people are getting to that point where they can no longer breathe through their nose, and the energy system that their body is using switches over just like that, right? And so along with controlling stress, and along with burning, using fat as a fuel instead of carbohydrate, we're also increasing nitric oxide, right? And the reason we care so much about nitric oxide, excuse me, cottonmouth here, is because it helps your blood vessels dilate a little bit, right? So you go and find lots of these really popular pre-workouts have stuff in them to help you with the nitric oxide, right? Help you produce nitric oxide, right? Because it helps you in workouts. It helps a bigger blood vessel can transport blood faster. Blood carries oxygen and nutrients and all the things that our body needs to function, right? So if we have bigger highways, we can get more cars down them, right? We can get more stuff to the muscles that are working, okay? So that is another reason we want to try to focus on the nasal breathing, right? We did a workout last week where we asked you to really start to focus on it, right? And if you haven't tried it, try it, right? Go outside, run for a half an hour, try to go as fast and as far as possible while only breathing through your nose, and it'll bring attention to just how difficult that task can be, right? And the more consciousness we can bring to the breathing that we do, again, it comes back to cortisol levels and stress. High stress, high cortisol levels leads for many people to storing fat in the abdomen, which is where all of us have fat. Well, not all of us, excuse me, where people like me have fat that we're trying to get rid of, right? And so if we can manage stress better, we can drop some pounds, right? If we can manage stress better, we can sleep better. We can recover better. If we're eating and sleeping, then we're also recovering better, right? So while how you breathe may not stick out as something that's incredibly valuable, but it is one of those real key ways of shooting performance out the roof, right? Just by controlling the way that we breathe just a little bit more, right? So the goal to be, just be conscious of how you're breathing throughout the day. Try to breathe through your nose only. Not inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. It should be in and out of your nose only, okay? The next thing we want to start to think about is your exhale should be slightly longer than your inhale. So if you inhale for 2 seconds, you want to exhale for 4 seconds, right? And that slower pace of breathing helps calm the whole system down, right? And it'll help you manage stress right at that moment where the water's boiling over and now there's a bloody nose and the doorbell is still ringing. See you next time.